pretty cut dry here. Do you need to see it to believe it? Or do you believe it? The offensive line at South Carolina.
Ooh.
By the way, this is all based off of they will be a pretty good unit this year for the Gamecocks. Do you need to see the offensive line to believe it, or do you believe it?
Here's where I think I differ from most people on this is I believe it. I think that I have a lot of confidence in the tackles, and I think that we know enough from this group. I like the depth, to be honest with you, and so I'm going to go with I believe it. I don't think I need to see it, and the silver bullet in the chamber for the offensive line is Lenore Sellers. I think they look better, and they appear to have a better year because of his escapability. You're just not going to give up as many sacks with somebody like that back there, and so we can record pressures all we want to, but in terms of protecting him and getting the job done, he's going to make them look better on paper. So I think I already believe it. I think they're going to be improved from last year. And that's all it's going to take to kind of elevate this group as a whole on offense.
Mm-hmm. So Shane, I asked him the other day, how do you define Mike Shula as an offensive coordinator? And part of his response was he is able to simplify for the quarterbacks. What does that mean? Simplify from what? Or I'm not sure, and I'm not throwing darts at Shane. I'm just saying I don't know what it means. But does that mean if you're simplifying for him, does it mean you're simplifying up front? I don't really know. I have bought into the hype before, and wonky things happened. Yeah, either they just weren't that good, or injuries, or whatever. So strictly leaning on my previous history of believing before seeing, I'm going to say I need to see it to believe it. That's not saying that I think that they're bad. I don't. I actually like this group, to be honest with you. Much more, you mentioned depth, 100% agree with that. And I like this group much more so than any in recent history, to be quite frank. But if it takes my voice as a motivator of, why don't you show us before we, buy into it? And by all means, run it throughout the locker room. So I'm gonna go see it to believe it.
It has the feel almost to me of like where people were with the defense in Clayton White a couple of years ago, and you brought that up with Shane as well, where there are these questions. I think this is the year they break out, where we see this offensive line do something special.
Look, man, any team
I'll believe it.
Yeah, and to be fair, any team in the SEC that returns its starting tackles, you gotta like where you are.
Yeah,
you just have to like where you are. Okay, see it or believe it. The defensive line.
See, now you make me want to switch things up and not sound like a broken record, but I think I believe in the defensive line more than the offensive line for a couple of reasons. I think your edge positions are just fine, and so we're going to move inside and realize that the standard set with three guys like Tonka Boogie and TJ Sanders last year, older guys, productive guys, I don't know that you can just replace that or that you're going to hit that mark again this year, but that doesn't mean that this isn't going to be a solid group that's going to be able to do more than enough to make this defense what it needs to be for South Carolina to be successful over the course of the season. You got two older guys with Monkel Goodwine and Nick Barrett who are going to be there, and we've heard enough in the past few weeks about Nick Barrett to really increase what I already believed about him. If he's taken to SEC Media Days, we have Darren Usher come in, talk to you, and really hype him up and tell us that he's kind of the rah-rah guy. Confidence is everything. And, my role and my job a lot of times is looking at how the mental aspect of the game is then going to translate onto the field. If you're the rah-rah guy, then you believe in yourself and you believe in the unit. And so that says a lot to me about Nick Barrett. And then I just happen to think that Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy is going to come in be back from this injury and make some moves. Darren Usher talks about Troy Pikes. Again, these guys are not proven necessarily, but within our circles in the state of South Carolina, we know these names and we know what some of these guys can do. And so I'm looking forward to a little bit of a shock from a national standpoint on how this defense performs as a unit. And I think that it always in the SEC is going to start up front. Everybody's looking at Dylan Stewart. Nobody has anything to say about anybody else. They don't know who they are. So I think that throws people off. But I'll say that when it comes to the trenches on both sides, I believe it.
We talked about this in the spring. You know, I thought that once they lost all these dudes to the NFL, the rest of the, not world, but those that cover Carolina football more on a regional or national basis would probably, while they will have hype surrounding 2 or 3 players, they will go, wow, I didn't realize they were losing all that. And then they will, some of those expectations will recede a little bit.
Yep.
And I'm a believe it guy, and I'll give you 2 reasons why. Forget the edge rushers. I kind of more of a see it dude on the other side, to be honest with you. We all know about Dylan Stewart, but overall, the question was about the defensive line in general. I am a big time Travian Robertson fan. And I have been since Shane Beamer brought him back to Columbia, South Carolina. And was before that as a coach and was before that as a player. Number one, outstanding human. He's a hell of a football coach. And he's got a lot of Brad Lawing in him. Anybody that's got Brad Lawing in him, they're going to be pretty good at what they do. Okay? He received ridiculous heat from people that know nothing about coaching defensive linemen or recruiting them in his first year or so here, which was, quite frankly, ridiculous. You saw last year what a guy can do when he's able to keep his fingerprints on it. That's point number 1, coaching. Point number 2, you already mentioned Nick Barrett. I don't need to say anything else there. I've talked plenty about him. Troy Pikes is a wild card in this, and I know they like him. But Monkel Goodwine and Gabrielle Brownlow Dindy were big-time defensive tackle prospects who committed. One of them was a top 10 or 15 player in the country to A&M and Dindy, Brownlow Dindy. And the other went to play for Nick Saban. So they're talented kids. They're talented. And they're not freshmen either, by the way. They're all older.
Right.
And Barrett has been under Travian now for over a couple of years. Same thing now with Monkel Goodwine. Dindy has been in there, since the start of the year, 2025. So I believe it. I will step out on that ledge, plug and play. I believe big time in the defensive line. All right.
Who do we not? That brings up the question in my mind. Like, we look across the position groups, who do we not have a lot of belief in from a coaching standpoint?
Well,
you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. But you just said, like, I believe in Travian Robertson. Same. Look across the defense. Look at how much have we talked about Mike Furry. You're gonna tell me we don't believe in Sean Elliott? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just kind of keeps unfolding with guys that it's like, man, I know he's gonna get it done in terms of development. So that makes me feel good too, especially when we have unproven guys.